Hello there, a very good evening and welcome to another edition of Primetime News on TV1. I'm Charlene Benedict for the Newsfirst team.
And I am Hashni Pathirana. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
Thusita Haloluwa remanded. Police revealed that he had orchestrated a shooting and assault on himself. Can't fall asleep, grant bail. Former State Minister Shashendra's lawyers make a bail application. Bail denied. Investigations continue. Rajita's request to recall the warrant for his arrest rejected. Will not increase overtime payments or remove fingerprint attendance register. Minister Nalin tells postal workers to abandon their demands and sit for discussions. Shooting at Paliagoda Fish Market. One person killed, another injured. Will President Trump's Ukraine-Russia peace effort succeed? Chinese Foreign Minister travels to Pakistan at the end of his tour of India. 22nd day of the Nallur Festival. Newsfirst spiritual pavilion set up near the Nallur Sivaguru Adinam. Case file.
The Colombo Crimes Division informed court that the attack and shooting incident on the vehicle of Thusita Haloluwa, former director of the National Lotteries Board, was revealed through investigations to be a crime orchestrated by Thusita Haloluwa himself in collaboration with organized criminals. Thusita Haloluwa, who was arrested early this morning, was produced before Colombo Additional Magistrate Pasan Amarasekara in the afternoon.
Thusita Haloluwa, who had a warrant issued for his arrest, was taken into custody by the Colombo Crimes Division at around 2 a.m. today. At approximately 3:30 p.m., officers from the Colombo Crimes Division produced him before the Colombo Additional Magistrate Pasan Amarasekara, while also informing court of the progress of the investigations. Investigators stated that on the 17th of May, Haloluwa was allegedly targeted in a shooting while travelling in a vehicle in Narahimpeta. Following an extensive investigation, 10 suspects were arrested and remanded. Authorities noted that they have since been released on bail. Officials further explained that Haloluwa was named as the 11th suspect in the case due to inconsistencies in the statements he provided during the investigation. He was subsequently taken into custody and produced to court as a suspect in the case. Quote,
Your Honor, the suspect claimed that he was the target of a shooting and that a valuable file in his possession was stolen during the incident. He further stated that the stolen file contained information regarding a deposit of 4 billion rupees made by the current president in a shipping company based in Greece. However, investigations conducted so far have not uncovered any evidence confirming the theft of such a file.
Unquote. Investigators informed court that the suspect had deliberately avoided giving a statement to the Colombo Crimes Division. Quote,
Your Honor, CCTV footage clearly shows that after the shooting, the suspect drove his vehicle in the same direction as the gunman fled, without displaying any fear or hesitation. This has raised reasonable suspicion in the investigation that the suspect may have collaborated with organized criminals to stage the incident. Furthermore, Your Honor, the initial investigation into this incident was conducted by the Narahimpeta police and was later handed over to the Colombo Crimes Division. The CCTV footage from the location of the shooting has already been submitted to the government analyst. The suspect had initially provided a statement regarding the incident, but that statement contradicts the one he gave later. Investigators conducted a thorough analysis and found out that the statement given by the suspect and 2 other individuals involved in the case were inconsistent with each other. Despite being notified on multiple occasions to appear before the Crimes Division and provide a statement, the suspect deliberately avoided doing so.
Unquote. It was revealed during the proceedings that despite a court order requiring the suspect to hand over the mobile phone he used on the day of the incident for investigation purposes, he instead provided a different device. Investigators discovered that the suspect had deliberately changed his phone number and submitted an alternate mobile phone in an apparent attempt to evade the investigation. Quote,
Your Honor, the suspect claimed that his mobile phone was damaged on the day of the incident. However, upon reviewing the mobile phone analysis report, it was revealed that the same device has been used even while the suspect was hospitalized following the incident. This indicates that the suspect deliberately made a false statement about the phone being damaged and, with the intention of misleading the investigation, provided a different mobile phone with a changed number to the investigators.
Unquote. Appearing for the suspect Thusitha Halloluwa in court, attorneys Ajit Pathirana and Athula S. Ranagala submitted a bail application. Quote,
Your Honor, my client has appeared before the Colombo Crimes Division on 5 separate occasions and provided statements regarding this incident. He also has no intention of evading the police. He was unable to attend on the most recent occasion due to the death of a close relative. Therefore, we respectfully request that he be released on suitable bail.
Unquote. After considering the submissions, the magistrate rejected the bail application. Quote,
Based on the facts presented, it is evident that the suspect has not cooperated with the investigation. Accordingly, the court finds that the suspect has committed offences under the Penal Code, the Firearms Ordinance and the Explosives Ordinance. Therefore, bail is denied at this stage and the suspect is ordered to be remanded until the 28th August.
Unquote. Case file. Former State Minister Shashendra Rajapaksa has been remanded until the 26th of August by Colombo Chief Magistrate Tanuja Lakmali Jayatunga following allegations of committing offences under the Public Property Act. The case relates to a property in Sevanagala belonging to the Mahaveli Authority, where a building was allegedly constructed without authorization and later damaged during the 2022 Aragalaya protest. Shashendra Rajapaksa is accused of pressuring officials to obtain 8.85 million rupees in compensation for the damaged property. He was arrested by the Bribery Commission and remanded until today, when the case was taken up again in court. Appearing on behalf of the Bribery Commission, Assistant Director of Legal Affairs Sulochana Hettiarachi informed court that several officials from the Mahaveli Authority were also implicated in the fraudulent activity and would be arrested and produced in court in due course. She further said that Shashendra Rajapaksa had exerted pressure on the Director General of the Mahaveli Authority as revealed in official statements. Quote,
Your Honor, the suspect minister has influenced the Director General and other officials of the Mahaveli Authority to issue letters and facilitate the compensation. Investigations show that undue pressure was applied to the damage assessment officers as well. Since inquiries are ongoing and witnesses may be influenced, we request that the suspect be remanded.
Representing Shashendra Rajapaksa, President's Counsel Sampath Mendis argued that his client suffers from sleep apnea, a condition that could pose serious health risks if detained. He requested bail on suitable grounds. Quote,
Your Honor, the building in question was destroyed during the 2022 Aragalaya protest due to arson. The land on which it stood belongs to the Mahaveli Authority and my client is not the owner of this property. The compensation for the damaged building was received by an individual named Manoj Kanayaka. The Bribery Commission has arrested my client on the allegation that he conspired in this matter. However, while the main suspect remains at large, my client has been taken into custody. Your Honor, I respectfully submit that all individuals connected to this incident should be thoroughly investigated. Furthermore, my client suffers from sleep apnea, a condition that poses a serious risk to his life if he remains in custody. He is also preparing to sit for his first-year law exams at the Law College in October. In light of these circumstances, I kindly request that my client be released on suitable bail.
After considering the submissions from both parties, the magistrate ordered that Shashendra Rajapaksa be remanded until the 26th of August and instructed investigators to report the progress of the investigations at the next hearing. Case file.
Colombo Chief Magistrate Tanuja Lakmali Jayatunga today rejected a request made by former Minister Rajitha Senaratne to temporarily suspend the arrest warrant issued against him. The warrant was issued on the 12th of August by Additional Magistrate Pasan Amarasinghe in connection with an investigation into a sand mining project at the Kirinda Fisheries Harbour allegedly awarded to a Korean company, resulting in a loss exceeding 20 million rupees to the government. Senaratna's legal team filed a motion before the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court requesting a stay order on the warrant. After reviewing the motion, Magistrate Jaitunga issued her ruling today. During the hearing, Assistant Director of Legal Affairs Sulochana Hettiarachchi appeared on behalf of the Bribery Commission, stated that Senaratna, named as the second suspect in the case, could not be located, prompting the Commission to seek the warrant on the 12th of August. She added that the warrant was necessary due to the suspect's failure to cooperate and avoidance of the investigation. Representing Senaratna, President's Counsel Maitri Gunaratna argued that the warrant was obtained during a court vacation week and accused the Bribery Commission of misleading the court. He claimed the warrant was issued without proper grounds and that his client had no intention of evading the commission. Gunaratna further stated that Senaratna was unwilling to be remanded for an offence he did not commit, and that there was no need to avoid the Bribery Commission. After considering submissions from both parties, Magistrate Jaitunga rejected the request to suspend the warrant. Additionally, the magistrate denied a separate request from the Bribery Commission to issue a public notice summoning Senaratna under the Code of Criminal Procedure.
A shooting incident near the Paliagoda fish market left one person dead and another injured.
A shooting occurred around 9:30 am on Gnanarathanamawatha, Paliagoda. The primary target was identified as Ipan Prabhu, a 45-year-old employee of the Paliagoda fish market. He was reportedly heading home on a motorcycle after finishing work when two individuals on another motorcycle approached and opened fire before fleeing the scene. Police confirmed that a T-56 assault rifle was used in the attack. A second individual who was travelling nearby on a bicycle was also injured in the gunfire. Both victims were admitted to the National Hospital Colombo, where Ayyappan Prabhu later succumbed to his injuries. The deceased was a resident of Alutmawatha, Colombo 15. Police suspect the shooting was a result of a long-standing conflict between two organized criminal gangs, with the fish market employee believed to have been deliberately targeted. 10 individuals suspected to be connected to an organized criminal gang have been arrested in Ganemulla, along with a cache of weapons and narcotics. Police stated that among those arrested is a former army soldier believed to be one of the key figures operating the gang. Authorities suspect the group is involved in drug trafficking and other organized criminal activities. Recovered from the suspects were a repeater-type firearm, a pistol, 9 T-56 magazines, 183 rounds of ammunition, 280 rounds of 9mm bullets, a sword and 300 grams of crystal methamphetamine, also known as ice.
Following orders from the Inspector General of Police, we conducted a special operation yesterday and arrested 6 suspects. During interrogation, we recovered 9 magazines, a repeater firearm and several narcotics. Further questioning led us to 4 more suspects, from whom we seized a pistol, T-56 bullets, 9mm rounds, ice, narcotic pills and military uniforms.
Police also confirmed that a motorcycle and a car belonging to the suspects were taken into custody. The raids were carried out in Parakanteniya, Dalukotua and Katana. The arrested individuals are residents of Rajagiriya, Vanathamulla, Aturugiriya and Katana.
Newsfirst with the people.
Newsfirst, main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposits. Valuable FD, the symbol of stability. A trusted place for your fixed deposits. Valuable FD, 10.25% for 15 months, 11% for 24 months. Valuable FD, the symbol of stability.
The annual Nallur Festival 2025. Join us at Shakti TV Nallur Live Studio from 19th to 21st August and tune into Shakti TV to witness the live telecast of the Saparam on 20th August at 5:30 p.m. and the Thair on the 21st of September from 6:30 a.m. Shakti TV, power of the nation.
Welcome back to the news. Cabinet spokesperson Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa informed the postal trade unions engaged in a strike action that increasing overtime payments or removing the fingerprint attendance system is not possible. Speaking at the Cabinet media briefing, the minister stressed that the government remains open to discussions at any time, provided that the unions are willing to set aside these demands.
Overtime payments cannot be increased and the fingerprint system will not be removed. Postal workers who are willing to work under these conditions may continue, and those dissatisfied with the overtime rates or the fingerprint system may seek employment elsewhere. As a government, we are taking a firm stand and will not bow to trade union pressure. Political parties are backing these actions, and this is apparent when you look at the list of trade unions on strike, and that must come to an end. This system needs to be fixed, and we cannot move forward with unfair demands. If discussions are to take place, it will only be on the basis that the overtime rates and the fingerprint system remain in place. Leave has already been cancelled, and our next decision will be on salary payments while leave remains suspended. A certain group is deliberately disrupting operations at the Central Mail Exchange. I ask the people of this country not to panic over the delays in postal and parcel deliveries. If we continue to operate within this system, because of these delays, the system will never improve. Please bear with us for a short time. We will resolve this situation.
Postal trade union representatives who are currently on strike over 19 demands, including overtime pay and the fingerprinting system, marched to the Presidential Secretariat today. Following the march, several union representatives were granted the opportunity to engage in discussions. The following is the trade union's response after those talks.
We believe that adequate solutions to end the strike have not yet been provided. Therefore, we will continue with the strike. In the meantime, as agreed with the Secretary, we will share the necessary information for the relevant discussions. Once the information is provided, if the discussion takes place promptly, we will thoroughly go over the issues, develop possible solutions and then present these solutions to the Minister. We hope to get the necessary solutions. However, the strike will only be called off after the Minister proposes acceptable solutions.
The strike, which is now in its second day, has affected the public.
මෙලියුම දාන්න ආයේ කොහොම හරි හෙට කිලිනොච්චියට යන්න ඕන එකක්. අතර මේ අපේ දුවගේ මේ ජොබ් එකකට ඉන්ටර්වයුව දාන එකක්.
රජයේ අපහසුතාවයට පත් කරන්න හදන්නේ. දැන් මේ ලයිට් බිල දාන්න ආවේ. ලයිට් බිල දාගන්න විදියක් නැහැ. දැන් ප්‍රයිවට් දාන්න ගියම තව ගාණක් යනවා. අපිට පක්ෂපාත වේදේ වැඩක් නැහැ. මේ රජයේ සේවක මාසෙ මෙච්චර පඩියක් අරගෙන මදි නා අපි කොහොමද ජීවත් වෙන්නේ? මම ආවේ දඩකොලෙන්. මගේ දඩකොලේට දැන් අද වෙනකොට දින 12යි. ඒතකොට අද ගෙවුවොත් 1100යි. හෙට ගෙවා ගන්න බැරුව මට ඕකට මං ගෙවන්න ඕන 2200යි. මම කුඩා ව්‍යවසායකයෙක් සාම්පල් එකක් මේ මට යවන්න තියෙනවා කොළඹට. ඒ වුණාට මේ යවා ගන්න විදියක් නැහැ මේ තැපැල් වර්ජනේ හින්දා. මේ කරන දේ ගැන අපි ඉපත් මිනිහට තමයි මේක පහර වදී. අපි දැන් ඔය ලියුම යන්න ඕන මේ මාතරට. ඔය ලියුම අද යන්නෙත් නැහැ හෙට යන්නේ.
Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa, announcing today's cabinet decision, said that most requests have already been approved except those concerning overtime payments and fingerprint machines.
Actually, discussions were held with the Postmaster General and our Ministry Secretary regarding this issue. From what I observed, they did not seem very interested in resolving the matter through those discussions. This is because we have already addressed or are in the process of addressing 17 out of the 19 demands. A process is ongoing. They are aware of this, and we are providing support for Sri Lanka Post in ways that have never been done before, both financially and technically. Therefore, we are in the process of fulfilling 17 out of these 19 requests. 2 requests remain. One of these 2 is related to the overtime issue. Overtime is being paid from April based on the full basic salary that will be due in January 2027. There are approximately 23,000 postal employees. These employees are receiving 5/6 of the OT based on the basic salary that will be effective in January 2027. As a result, they will earn more in April than the overtime they receive in March this year. Yet, they are claiming that this is insufficient. Even though they claim this is not enough, this is standard government policy. which cannot be altered. Secondly, now that basic salaries have also been increased. If someone argues that postal employees in government service should not use fingerprint machines to record attendance, we cannot allow that. These fingerprint machines are already operational in the administrative offices of the Postal Department.
The government provided a lengthy clarification on several claims made by the Samaki Jana Balawek and other parties regarding the country's economy in Parliament today. The explanation mainly focused on money printing, official receipts and the overall process of economic management.
They say that under our government, 1.2 trillion rupees has been printed. But under the current framework, the government has no authority to print money and therefore we have not done so. Legally, there is no provision for it. In reality, what is being referred to in society as money printing is actually monetary expansion. This expansion takes place through reserve money, which is regulated and controlled by the central bank, not the government. Therefore, the government has not arbitrarily increased the money supply.
Sri Lanka
Sri Lanka's foreign reserves have declined compared to October-November 2024. The net foreign reserves dropped from $2,799 million in March 2025 to $2,210 million by June 2025. Meanwhile, total foreign reserves fell from $6,122 million in December 2024 to $6,080 million by June 2025. Even the central bank's net foreign assets have recorded a decline by June this year. I'm asking you, isn't this a red light warning?
Now, Honorable Deputy Speaker, there's a group of people flashing red lights every day. One makes a noise, then another comes and lights another so-called red light. Today in this country, there are three types of people talking about the economy. First, those who only know theory but cannot do anything practical. They don't even know how to win a seat. Second, those who come here throwing around technical terms in English, acting like experts, but in reality, they are businessmen. People in the black market, deal makers who have entered politics. Then the third group, the YouTubers, who pretend to be economic gurus just to boost their ad revenue. Honorable Deputy Speaker, these are the same economic experts who presented the 2016 budget when they were in government. Today they accuse us of lying, but I can list 25 broken promises from that budget, 25 lies they couldn't deliver. What they failed to do, we are now doing, and that must hurt them. In 2016, they promised an industrial policy but was never delivered. We are introducing it this year. They promised to simplify the tax system, and still, Sri Lanka has one of the most complicated tax regimes in the world. They promised technology for tax collection but nothing was implemented. We are doing it now. In the 2016 budget, they promised to restructure state enterprises, but by 2024, they had bankrupted them. They said by 2018, Sri Lanka would be self-sufficient in agriculture. This was the budget proposal in 2016. They promised a gem and jewelry hub in Sri Lanka in 2016. We are doing that now. They promised a national digital ID in 2016. The 2016 budget also proposed the establishment of an import-export bank. They were not able to establish this. These experts promised an anti-dumping law in 2016, but they didn't deliver. But we brought it last week. They proposed the formation of Lanka Enterprise Development Bank in 2016. It has not been established to date. Reforms to the Bills of Exchange Act were proposed in 2016, but we were the ones who did it last month. They said 7 billion will be allocated for early childhood education centers, but none of these education centers have been built. We don't even know where the money went. A holding company for SOEs was proposed in 2016. KPIs for SOEs was also proposed in 2016, and they weren't able to do that as well. Many industrial parks were also proposed. None of it happened. I wonder where the money went. These experts promised to raise reserves to $10 billion by the end of 2016. They promised to raise tax revenue to 17% of GDP by 2018, but managed only 12.4% when they fled. These experts promised a $5 billion digital economy. These experts were not able to do any of this. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the person who was advising us had presented 2 budgets but has not been able to deliver on any of them. Meanwhile, within 1 month alone, customs revenue increased by 230 billion rupees under our government, more than double what they achieved in 2018. These are the same people who ran the economy into the ground from 4.2% growth to 2.3% by 2018. These experts are the ones who trapped us in ISBs and laid the foundation for bankruptcy.
අපි ISBs වල හිර කරලා රට බංකොලොත් කරන්න මූලික පදනම දැම්මේ මෙන්න මේ කියන ආර්ථික ඔස්තාරලා කීප දෙනා තමයි.
The Newsfirst spiritual pavilion set up near the Nallur Sivaguru Adinam was inaugurated today as part of the annual festival of the Nallur Kandaswamy temple. The pavilion will be open for 3 days and will showcase a variety of cultural activities.
The Newsfirst spiritual pavilion near the Nallur Sivaguru Adinam was declared open by Shivan Daniel, Group Director of the Capital Maharaja Group. Screen tests and voice tests will be conducted to provide young, aspiring news readers with a platform to showcase their talents. The Shakti TV special zone near the Nallur Bhartiyar statue was also inaugurated by Shivan Daniel, Group Director of the Capital Maharaja Group, this afternoon.
முதலிலே மரபு மாறாத இந்தியம் விருந்தினரை அழைத்து வருகின்ற செயற்பாடாக செய்து கொண்டிருப்பது குழுமத் தலைவர் எலக்ட்ரானிக் மீடியா பிசினஸினுடைய குழுமத் தலைவர் ஷிவான் டானியல் அவர்கள் முன்னகர்ந்து வருகிறார். நிகழ்ச்சியோடு நாங்கள் நிகழ்ச்சியை ஆரம்பித்து வைப்பதற்கு இப்போது இதோ இன்றைய தினம் அழகுற எமது யாழ் கலையகத்தை யாழ் வளாகம் சக்தி தொலைக்காட்சியினுடைய யாழ் வளாகம் இதோ நாடா வெட்டி ஆரம்பிக்கப்படும் காட்சி எமது.
My dear friends, it's easy to divide things. It's easy to give leadership to division. It's easy to step away from something, to build a wall, to fight with each other. That's not difficult. And to give leadership to that is not difficult. When in one country we speak 2 languages, it's easy to give leadership to either one of those sides. If we don't speak each other's languages, then we will be divided. But can you see that we have a language that everyone in this country speaks, and that is our shared culture. There is something else. We share a future. What we do today will decide on our future. Do we go back to the past, or do we look towards a future, a modern Sri Lanka, a new Sri Lanka, where we focus on what unites us and not what divides us? That's the kind of leadership that we need, particularly for the young people who will attend this festival. Taking the time to understand the cultural strength of our nation and our people is critical, because then you will understand that we are 2 rivers flowing into the same ocean. Anybody who is not for the future, who is not for a united future, is against the future of these children. They are against the future of our children, our own children. We cannot take a step forward if we are divided, my friends. Not 1 step forward, but we can take 10 steps backwards if we decide to divide ourselves. And this is the true calling of our generation.
The United Nations has honored Sri Lankan aviators for their bravery in hostile terrain in the Central African Republic.
The Sri Lanka Aviation Unit, deployed under the United Nations Multidimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission in the Central African Republic, has received high praise and official commendation for its exceptional performance during a high-risk casualty evacuation mission on the 14th of June 2025. Operating in a volatile and hostile environment, the unit successfully evacuated 3 critically wounded UN personnel from Zemio using an Mi-17 helicopter. The mission demanded precision, flying, rapid decision-making and seamless teamwork under extreme pressure. The team also executed nighttime extraction in adverse weather, relying on night vision goggles to ensure safety and precision. Despite these obstacles, the crew maintained composure and professionalism, completing the mission in 3 hours and 50 minutes and safely transporting the casualties to Bria for urgent medical care. In recognition of their bravery and expertise, the force commander of the Multidimensional Integrated Stabilization Mission in the Central African Republic presented commendations to the captain, co-pilot and the entire Sri Lanka Aviation Unit on the 17th of August 2025.
French President Emmanuel Macron and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer will co-chair a virtual meeting of the Coalition of the Willing, the name given to the group formed of the dozens of Ukraine's allies that have pledged support in its fight against Russia later today. The coalition meeting will follow up on yesterday's meeting in Washington and continue the work underway in the issue of security guarantees for Ukraine.
Now, Macron and other European leaders will later take part in a video conference meeting hosted by the President of the European Council, Antonio Costa. What led to this point? Newsfirst Jawad Abdin tells us more.
Making headlines around the world is the meeting US President Donald Trump and his counterpart Zelensky along with European leaders held yesterday. Now, what is the latest on this? Well, US President Donald Trump, his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky and 7 European leaders sounded optimistic after the meeting on Monday at the White House, in which they worked toward ending Russia's war in Ukraine. Now, European officials said the hastily arranged talks reflected the urgency many leaders feel in aligning with Trump on ending the war, but also they're concerned that they not be sidelined. So what is the latest on this war? What is the latest on this meeting, in fact? And here's what you need to know. Now, the meeting and the players, that is Trump and Zelensky, held an initial meeting and talks before they were joined in a discussion with key European leaders who demonstrated Western unity and support for Ukraine. Present at the talks were the leaders of Britain, France, Germany, Italy, Finland, the European Commission and NATO. Ukrainian President Zelensky met with representatives from allied European nations in Washington ahead of his scheduled meeting with US President Donald Trump at the White House. Leaders from France, the United Kingdom, Germany, Italy, Finland, the European Union and NATO participated in the high-level discussions which underscored Western unity and support for Ukraine amid ongoing efforts to end the war with Russia. Following the preliminary talks, President Zelensky arrived at the White House where he was received by President Trump. Joining the main discussion were French President Emmanuel Macron, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, Finnish President Alexander Stubb, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. All leaders were welcomed with full diplomatic honors at the White House. The bilateral meeting between Presidents Trump and Zelensky took place in the Oval Office, marking a significant moment in US-Ukraine relations. Notably, President Zelensky appeared in a black formal suit, departing from his usual military-style attire, a gesture that drew attention from both President Trump and members of the press.
President Zelensky, you look fabulous in that suit.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, you look good.
I said the same thing.
Yeah,
looks good. I said the one that attacked you last time. See, now I remember that.
Yeah, I apologize to you. You look wonderful. No, my first question for you, President Zelensky.
In the same suit. You see, I changed. You are not.
Maybe yours is much better.
Now, what was discussed during this meeting? What were the contents? What were the matters that were taken up during these discussions? Now, Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, said the discussion covered security guarantees and humanitarian concerns. Now, these included tentative plans for Ukraine to purchase American weapons through European funding and for Ukraine to manufacture drones, some of which would be purchased by the US. Now, they did not discuss redrawing Ukrainian territory, said the NATO chief, but however, Zelensky said he had a long discussion with Trump over a map of Russian captured territories in his country and that he had argued with Trump about the percentage of territory on the map. Ukrainian President Zelensky and US President Trump held a 6-hour diplomatic meeting at the White House aimed at advancing peace efforts in Ukraine and discussing a major arms deal. Speaking to the media, President Trump expressed hope for a fair opportunity to end the war, which has now entered its 4th year. He emphasized the need to stop the killing, noting the heavy toll on both sides, including thousands of soldiers.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think we're going to have a meeting. I think if everything works out well today, we'll have a trilat. And I think there will be a reasonable chance of ending the war when we do that. It's been almost 4 years now that a lot of people were killed last week. A lot of people last week. I mean, millions of people killed, but a lot of people last week for whatever reason. A big number, a lot of soldiers, on both sides. And I know the president, I know myself, and I believe Vladimir Putin wants to see it ended. I'm just here to be, look, this isn't my war, this is Joe Biden's war. He's the one that had a lot to do with this happening, and we want to get it ended, and we want it to end good for everybody. We want it to end good. The people of Ukraine have suffered incredibly.
During the talks, President Zelensky agreed to a tentative $90 billion arms purchase from the United States, which includes drone technology and other defense equipment. However, he clarified that the deal is still under negotiation and a formal agreement is expected within the next week to 10 days.
We have possibility now to buy weapons from the United States. We are thankful for this program and this opportunity. We are thankful for Europe. They pay for this. And through NATO program, for example, Pearl and etc., we have some programs where we can have some money to finance this. And this is a part, I think, it's not a part for the war and to defend us. It also will be a part for security guarantees, to strengthen our army, to rearm Ukrainian army. This is very, very important. And it depends how much money we need to rearm. For example, the question of air defense, we spoke about it with President Trump, and I'm happy that we have now bilateral decisions and we work on it with production, American production. Nobody in Europe has so many air defense like Patriots, for example. We need it very much, and this is also about defending.
US President Donald Trump, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders gathered for a group photo in front of the White House, symbolizing unity and diplomatic resolve. Following the photo session, the leaders convened for a roundtable discussion where several European representatives called for an immediate ceasefire as a precursor to peace negotiations. However, President Trump responded by stating that a ceasefire is not a prerequisite for initiating talks aimed at ending the war between Russia and Ukraine. Now, was there a call between President Donald Trump and Putin in the middle of this meeting? Well, here's what you need to know on that. Now, Trump paused his meeting with Zelensky and the leaders to phone Putin and tell the Russian leader what had been decided, a decision coordinated by the European leaders. The Finnish president confirmed on this. Now, the Europeans were not present for the call, but a Kremlin aide said that it had been very constructive and that Putin had expressed support for direct negotiations between Ukraine and Russia. Now, getting into facts of the Putin-Zelensky meeting, will such a meeting be hosted? Now, Trump said he has begun arranging a meeting between Putin and Zelensky, and after that bilateral meeting takes place, Trump could join a trilateral meeting with the leaders. Now, Zelensky said he is ready for any format of a meeting with the Russian president.
Sorry, what?
Is there a date for you to meet with President Putin?
The date?
Yes.
No, we don't have any date.
No
we don't have any date. We just confirmed after this productive meeting with the president and then with all our colleagues, partners, we confirmed that we are ready for a trilateral meeting. And if Russia proposed to President of the United States bilateral, and then we will see the result of bilateral, and then it can be the trilateral. So I said always, so Ukraine will never stop on the way to peace, and we are ready for any kind of formats, but on the level of leaders. Дякую, до побачення.
Now, what is the atmosphere at the same time following this meeting? Now, the atmosphere was far more than collegial than the shouting match that took place in February, if you do remember. That was in late February, the last time Zelensky was in the Oval Office. Now, this time, Zelensky showed up in a smart suit and not the usual military-style clothing that had displeased Trump the last time around. He also brought a letter for Trump from Ukraine's First Lady, of course, that is, and thanking US First Lady Melania Trump for her message to Putin about children suffering during the war. Ukraine's coordination headquarters for the treatment of prisoners of war said that the bodies of 1,000 Ukrainians have been returned from Russia as part of repatriation efforts. According to Russian authorities, the remains belong to Ukrainian service members killed in action in Donetsk, Zaporizhzhia, Luhansk and Kursk regions. Among them are 5 soldiers who died in Russian captivity. Ukrainian law enforcement and forensic experts will now carry out examinations to identify the bodies. The announcement follows a broader June 2nd deal struck in Istanbul, under which Russia and Ukraine agreed to repatriate around 6,000 bodies of fallen Ukrainians. That exchange concluded on the 16th June with 6,057 bodies returned to Ukraine in several phases.
Indian National Security Advisor Ajit Doval met Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi at Hyderabad House in Delhi and held a fresh round of special representatives dialogue on the boundary question. Now, Wang Yi arrived in India on Monday afternoon for a 2-day visit.
Indian and Chinese officials met in New Delhi for talks on the boundary question. The meeting between National Security Advisor Ajit Doval and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi is seen as a critical step towards improving bilateral relations ahead of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's scheduled visit to China for the SCO summit. Discussions focused on rebuilding mutual trust, managing disagreements and stabilizing the borders. The Chinese Foreign Minister stated a healthy and stable China-India relationship serves the fundamental and long-term interests of both countries. The dialogue also covered economic ties, including the issue of critical minerals. Both sides are working to build on the consensus reached during the 23rd round of special representative talks and a meeting between the leaders in Kazan last October. The Foreign Ministry of China has announced that Wang Yi, member of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee and Foreign Minister, will visit Pakistan from the 20th August to the 22nd August. During the visit, Wang Yi will hold the 6th round of the China-Pakistan Foreign Ministers Strategic Dialogue with Muhammad Ishaq Dar, Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Pakistan.
Hamas has informed mediators that it has approved the latest Gaza ceasefire proposal and is ready to resume negotiations to discuss ending Israel's war on Gaza, which has now killed more than 62,000 Palestinians and threatens further mass displacement amid man-made starvation.
A source familiar with the talks told Al Jazeera the proposal included a temporary cessation of military operations for 60 days, during which the Israeli army would relocate to allow the entry of humanitarian aid. Half of the 50 Israeli captives would be exchanged for Palestinian prisoners within the same time frame. The source said the new proposal marks the beginning of the path to a comprehensive solution. The Hamas announcement came after Qatari Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman bin Jassim Al Thani held talks with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi in Cairo. But judging by the failed trajectory of past talks, the announcement does not necessarily mean an end to the war is imminent. Over the past 2 years, Hamas has accepted proposals for a ceasefire and the release of Israeli captives and Palestinian prisoners, only for Israel to reject them and insist on continuing the war.
Now coming back to some local news, these were the views expressed regarding the Lanka Tamil Arasakachi-led Hartal campaign launched yesterday.
If anyone says this Hartal has failed, remember that the Lanka Tamil Arasakachi is the one that organized this Hartal. I agree that 100% of the shops in the northern and eastern provinces were not closed. However, 60 to 70% of the shops were closed until noon. As an independent party, the Lanka Tamil Arasakachi was able to get businesses to close in over 60% of the northern and eastern provinces based on our demands. The Tamil community defeated this Hartal. A good example of this is when Sumandiran, who failed in Jaffna, went to Vaunia. What happened in Vaunia? He returned with a broken nose. The Lanka Tamil Arasakachi organized this Hartal. MP Sridharan ended the Hartal at 10 AM. We witnessed the pathetic way the mayor of Jaffna and the mayor of Batiklo behaved. They forcibly stole shops under their authority to close. The people acted intelligently and clearly rejected the Tamil Arasakachi. The Muslims rejected the Muslim Congress.
Muslim Congress
We express our gratitude to the Tamil and Muslim people living in the north and east. People like Sumandiran, who are trying to mislead people who follow us, are claiming that they are the saviors of the Tamil community. They are not the saviors of the Tamil community. The Tamil community rejected them in the last election. So you, who have failed today, carried out a Hartal thinking about how you could get into the next provincial council. I must say that this hartal, which was initiated to make your dream of a provincial council a reality, has carried away that dream into the drain.
In some tragic news, a mother and her daughter lost their lives in a wild elephant attack today.
A wild elephant attacked two women this morning in the Ekolha-Ala paddy field in the Ambakola Wevel of Amanpola. A mother and her daughter were working in the paddy field when they were attacked. The 28-year-old daughter died in the attack. The 53-year-old mother, who was hospitalized, succumbed to her injuries.
Women in Management will host Global Week 2025 in Colombo from the 7th of October till the 9th of October in celebration of the 15th anniversary of the organization.
Women in Management is celebrating 15 years of empowering women by bringing back its signature global events featuring the top 50 global awards, Economic Forum, Women MSME Awards and next year Mentorship and Awards, drawing delegates from over 15 countries to Colombo from the 7th to the 9th of October 2025.
If you look at the past 15 years, the top 50 award winners who has contributed so much to Sri Lankan economy, who has changed a lot of things. Everyone laughed at me and said, I still remember someone at a forum when I went and said, we like to have women so that it will bring glamour. We are more than glamour. So now we are, the corporates itself are speaking about why women should come, and we have, it's positively now, corporates are looking at women as employees, not as a gender. So that's one of the major changeover for 15 years we brought.
Women in Management Global Week 2025 spans a diverse spectrum of recognition, from honoring women entrepreneurs to empowering next generation leaders and fostering global economic dialogue. Delegates and leaders from over 15 countries will take part, with judging panels including global representatives from the USA, UK, India, Pakistan, Maldives, Africa and the UAE.
The Center for Law and Security Studies launched volumes 2 and 3 of its Strategic Policy Analysis series in Colombo.
The Center for Law and Security Studies launched volumes 2 and 3 of its Strategic Policy Analysis series at BMICH today, bringing together top policymakers and experts. The event was attended by Admiral Jayanath Colombage, former Chief of the Sri Lanka Navy and Additional Secretary to the President for Foreign Relations, economist Subhashini Abesinghe and other dignitaries.
If I could just recap my position on this. I believe that the global landscape, the geopolitical landscape is shifting very fundamentally towards some kind of new entity. What this new entity is, I think is still kind of up in the air. But it's certainly somewhat of a transactional world order, certainly very much a civilizational world order. When we calibrate our strategic options, we have to keep in mind that civilizational identity, that thing is not just a cliche. It is something which reflects a changing world order, and those who don't really spot it risk the world order just passing by them, and you then end up staring at a completely new monster and you have no idea what this monster is even called.
Volume 2 examines India-Sri Lanka economic ties, while Volume 3 explores security policy challenges.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News on TV1 for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.